So I'm sure many of you have already gotten a start on your New Year's resolution. And of course, one of the most common New Year's resolutions is to exercise more. Now, I've been exercising for 3 to 4 years now, and I started at 138 pounds and I am officially up to 188 pounds. But this has been a journey that has been full of ups and downs and mistakes along the way. So for any of you who might be starting your own fitness journey this year, I figured that I would make a video talking about the mistakes that I made. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tyler Warlow, and I make videos on how to improve your life through your confidence, capabilities, and overall happiness. In today's video, I figured that I would talk about the 5 biggest mistakes that I made as a beginner to fitness that really slowed down my progress, and I frankly could have made a lot more gains in the gym if I had just worked on these mistakes a little bit more. If that sounds interesting to you, let's go ahead and jump into the video. The first mistake that I made was just not starting in the first place. So growing up, I was a fairly skinny kid, and I used to tell myself that I didn't like exercise, so therefore I didn't need to do it, which is just not a great thing to tell yourself. Exercise is an incredibly important thing for your personal health and longevity. So even if you're someone who thinks that you don't need to do exercise, you really should, because it's going to be important as you get older in order to maintain your health, how you feel, and just your overall energy levels. So you want to go ahead and get started with something. I personally recommend starting out small, because another mistake that a lot of people make, and I know myself did it, was every time that I tried to start exercising again, I would tell myself, oh, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days or 6 days a week. And of course, the unfortunate thing that would happen with that is, one, I would feel so sore that it would suck to go to the gym the next day. Like I could barely lift my arms, and therefore I didn't really want to go to the gym the next day because I felt like I was just going to feel worse. Secondly, for a lot of people, going to the gym 5 to 6 days a week is not a sustainable schedule. A lot of people live busy lifestyles, so you've got to find something that really fits into your own schedule. And once you've been able to do that consistently, then you can play with maybe going more. So when I first started, I failed several times to start working out. I tried to get into exercising multiple times throughout high school, and every time the farthest that I would get was about a month before I stopped. The first time that I saw any success was actually during 2020 with COVID, where I told myself that I was going to do a bodyweight program that I found off the internet that was simply 3 days a week for 30 minutes for 8 weeks. I told myself if I was able to complete this 8-week program, that is when I would up whatever I was doing. And that small goal was what allowed me to get in and get started with my exercise journey. And now I'm up to 4 sessions a week, sometimes more if friends invite me to do it with them. So my biggest advice to anyone who's looking to get started in the gym is just get started. Try to find something that interests you, whether that's running, whether that's weightlifting. Find something that's fun and try to make it sustainable by only going a few times a week for short periods of time. Once you can do that consistently, then you can start playing with going to the gym more often. But just go ahead and get started. Trust me, taking that first step is often the hardest, and you will be surprised with just how quickly you start seeing progress once you get started. The next mistake that I personally made when I first started trying to exercise was not paying enough attention to my diet. Like I said, I was an extremely skinny kid in high school. I was 138 pounds, which at 6'3" actually put me in the underweight category. I didn't realize this at the time, but I really needed to eat more food. But frankly, I'm not a hungry person. I have an extremely low appetite. So I would just eat enough that I felt satiated, and then I would just go about my day. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough for me. What I've found in my experience is that I actually have a tendency to undereat what I need if I don't track my calories. Now, I don't think tracking is the best thing for everyone, but I definitely think that you should be paying attention and be more aware of the food choices that you are making. You can approach this from 2 different sides. If you're someone who's looking to pack on weight and gain muscle, you should probably be tracking to make sure that you're hitting your calorie goals and your macros. I know a thing that I very commonly undereat on is protein. if I don't track, I usually don't eat enough protein. And that's just simply because you don't realize that whatever you're eating doesn't really hit your macros until you actually put it in a tracker and it's all added up. So even when I felt like I was eating enough protein, like I was having eggs for breakfast, a meat with lunch and dinner, I still wasn't hitting the protein that I need. And that's still very commonly something I run into when I go through a period of not tracking. If you're someone who's trying to lose weight, I highly suggest going a month, tracking what you're eating, and really getting a real idea of how much food you're eating. You'd be surprised how many people underestimate the calories that they're eating because they're not taking into consideration everything that they're eating. There's so many things out there nowadays that contain quote unquote hidden calories because it's super easy to eat and you don't feel full afterwards, but it's a decent amount of calories. For instance, if you're someone who drinks a couple coffees with cream and sugar every day, that can add up to an extra couple hundred calories every single day. And if you do that consistently over time, that is how you gain weight. And if you actually track everything you'd eat, you'd be surprised how many things that when you actually look at them have a lot more calories than you think. For instance, a lot of people think that getting a salad is a really healthy option for them. But let's say you get a salad from Chick-fil-A and you use the full dressing packet that comes with it. What a lot of people don't realize is that that dressing packet has a ton of calories in it. So yes, while you're eating a healthy meal, you are getting a lot of calories with it, and that's typically why you're not going to lose weight. I know that there's other factors, but for most people, that is a significant reason why they struggle to lose weight is because they're not properly accounting for their calories. So that's going to be my second tip, is make sure that you're paying attention to your nutrition. Paying attention to your nutrition is going to help you see progress, whether you're trying to gain muscle or lose weight or whatever your goal is. And it's in general going to help you to feel better when you eat cleaner whole foods on a more regular basis rather than the processed stuff that we usually eat. Now, if you're new to exercising, this might be something that is surprising to you, but this is a mistake that I made a lot in the first year or two of me working out. And that's going to be that you can actually exercise too much. So earlier I mentioned that when I was first getting into the gym, I was typically trying to go for 5 to 6 days a week. Now, the problem with this is, especially when you're first starting out, your body isn't used to lifting that much weight or doing that much activity. And the issue with doing a lot of activity that your body isn't necessarily accustomed to is that can lead to injuries because your body doesn't have time to recover. If you're new to lifting and you're just trying to go 5-6 days a week, you're not giving your body the sufficient amount of time that it needs to really recover properly. So let's say that you go and do a run on Tuesday and then you go and try to do a leg day on Wednesday, but you're brand new to lifting. You are highly likely to injure yourself simply because your body isn't used to doing that level of activity and your legs are just going to be already sore from the run, and it's a lot more likely that you're going to strain something during your actual weightlifting workout. This is a very common thing with people, and it actually is something that advanced lifters run into where they keep trying to push themselves and they never let their body properly recover or rest. Recovery is just as important as your exercise. So make sure that you're taking some days off from pushing yourself so hard, and make sure that you're getting enough rest, and like I said already, paying attention to your nutrition. Rest and nutrition are going to be huge for your recovery. So make sure that you give them the dedication and time that you are giving to your workouts as well. The next mistake that I made pretty often in my first few years of exercising was not maintaining consistency in my workout program. And that's still sometimes something that I struggle with. If you see people online who have built really great physiques or have made really impressive skills like basketball or snowboarding, these are people that have been doing whatever form of exercise they've chosen for years. And it's that small, consistent activity that built up over time is what has allowed them to build something so great. I personally could probably be further along in my fitness journey in terms of my strength, except there's regularly time periods in the year where I sometimes end up taking about a month or two off just due to life activities. Now, you shouldn't guilt yourself for not being able to meet these things because, like I said, life happens. However, you want to try and maintain as consistent of a workout schedule as possible. This goes back to my earlier point where I was mentioning that you should start off small because you need to do something that you can actually maintain. If you try to set up some sort of schedule where you commonly can't make it, that's something that just demotivates you and eventually will cause you to drop the goal altogether because you're questioning if it's even worth it. You really want to lower that barrier to entry. Something that I personally struggle with is, unfortunately, my gym is 20 minutes away. And sometimes this makes it so I don't really want to go to the gym because it involves almost an hour of driving. But something that you can do to help you maintain that consistency is get yourself an accountability buddy, whether that is someone that can regularly work out with you or some friends at the gym. I personally have made several friends at my gym, which is a big reason that motivates me to keep going. So if I end up not being at the gym for a while, they usually reach out to me to check in on me. And that's something that kind of motivates me to get back up off my ass and get myself into the gym. By being consistent over time, you're going to see massive improvements in your health. And one thing that I highly recommend to do if you want to see that change is tracking your progress, because a lot of times you don't realize the progress that you've made in the amount of time that you have. But if you can actually go back and look at where you were, you'll see that your small consistent efforts have actually led to this massive improvement. So if you can, try to make sure that you're being consistent with your exercise, because that is something that I personally didn't do. And frankly, it can help you to see much better improvements in the long run. And finally, y'all, one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is comparing yourself to others. I mean, we live in a time where social media is all over the place, and we are constantly being presented the best versions of other people. And especially when it comes to exercise, there are just absolute phenoms online. You see people with amazing physiques or Olympic athletes on a daily basis. And when you are comparing your own progress to that, it can be something that's extremely demotivating. And something that a lot of people don't realize is a lot of these people that show their physiques and stuff online usually aren't natural or aren't telling the full truth behind their physique. This is literally their career. So they get paid in order to look like that. So of course they're going to do anything that they can to maintain that physique. It's a little bit different of a situation from the person who's working a 9-to-5 job and is trying to get workouts in before or after work. There's a gentleman on YouTube named Greg Doucette who likes to say, take your dream physique and now you will be able to achieve about 50% of that. And that is a realistic goal to have. A lot of people will have this idea of this dream physique that they want, such as I know a lot of guys look at Chris Hemsworth as having an awesome body that they would love to have. But again, they don't realize the amount of time, effort, work, and money that has gone into achieving that physique. So it's not really a fair comparison. But then when they don't start to see results that start to look like that, they get demotivated and they fall off. The only person that you should be comparing yourself to is yourself. You should be aiming to be a little bit better than the person that you were last time that you made it to the gym. Push yourself a little bit harder. I'm not saying that you have to blow yourself out of the water every time, but just try to be that little bit better. And that's how you're going to see improvements over time. If you're constantly comparing yourself to unrealistic fitness standards, such as someone who can deadlift 1,000 pounds or someone who's got a absolutely shredded physique like the Mr. Olympia, then you're gonna have a much harder time staying motivated because you're gonna look at yourself and be like, is it even worth it? I'm nowhere near that level. So try to focus on yourself, try to compete with yourself. Again, you can do that with the tracking that I mentioned earlier. And I promise this is going to lead to a much healthier relationship with your fitness, and you're going to see better improvements and be able to stay more consistent over time. But that's going to bring us to the end of today's video. I hope that y'all found the information in it to be helpful or informative. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to join me along in this self-improvement journey. If you're interested in more videos like this where I talk about physical and mental health, be sure to check out this video right here where I talk about managing your stress. If you're more interested in my most recent videos, be sure to check out this one right here. But until the next time, this is the Mengineer, signing off.